Welcome back to Secure Your Benefits, your trusted place for clear and up-to-date information about Social Security, retirement, and everything in between. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update that could impact your future. Today's topic is something that causes a lot of confusion and surprise for many Americans when they approach retirement: the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP. If you've worked a job that didn't pay into Social Security, maybe you were a teacher in a state like Texas or Illinois, a police officer, or had a government job overseas, you might be affected by WEP. Even if you also worked other jobs where you did pay into Social Security, this provision could reduce your Social Security benefits. It's a topic that sounds technical, but it can have real effect on your monthly check. So let's break it down clearly and honestly. To understand WEP, you first have to know how Social Security calculates your retirement benefit. Normally, your benefit is based on your average indexed monthly earnings, or AIME, over your 35 highest earning years. This number is then applied to a formula with band points, basically tiers that determine how much of your income is replaced by Social Security. The formula is weighted in favor of lower income earners, giving them a higher percentage back in benefits. But here's where WEP comes in. If you receive a pension from a job where you didn't pay Social Security taxes and you also qualify for Social Security based on other work, the government assumes your Social Security earnings might make it look like you had low income, when in reality, part of your WEP history simply didn't count toward Social Security. To prevent what they consider a windfall, they reduce your benefit using the WEP formula. Now, WEP doesn't take away your entire benefit, it just changes how it's calculated. As of 2025, the maximum reduction WEP can apply is $557.00 per month. That number changes annually with inflation. The actual amount of the reduction depends on how many years you did work in Social Security covered employment. The more years you paid into Social Security, the less WEP can reduce your benefit. If you have 30 or more years of substantial earnings in Social Security covered work, WEP doesn't apply at all. That's why it's so important to check your Social Security statement and understand how many years of substantial earnings you've accumulated. If you're close to that 30-year mark, it may be worth it to work a little longer in a Social Security covered job to eliminate the WEP reduction completely. And just to clarify, WEP only applies if you're receiving both a pension from non-covered work and Social Security retirement or disability benefits based on your own earnings. If you're only receiving one or the other, it doesn't apply. Another key point is that WEP only affects benefits you receive on your own record. If you qualify for spousal or survivor benefits, there's a different rule, the government pension offset or GPO, that comes into play, and we'll cover that in another video here on Secure Your Benefit. But today we're focusing only on WEP and your own retirement or disability benefit. Many people ask if WEP is fair. From a policy standpoint, the government's argument is that it prevents people from getting a higher Social Security benefit than someone who worked and paid into the system their entire career. But from a personal perspective, it can feel like a penalty, especially if you weren't told about it when you took your non-covered job. The good news is there have been continued efforts in Congress to reform or eliminate WEP. Several bills have been introduced over the years to change how WEP is applied or to make it more equitable. In 2025, there is once again growing bipartisan support for modifying WEP, especially as more public sector employees are hitting retirement age and feeling its impact. One of the more recent proposals, still in committee as of June 2025, would replace WEP with a new formula that takes into account a person's entire career earnings, both covered and non-covered, and calculate benefits more proportionally. While nothing has passed yet, the momentum is building, and it's something we'll continue to track closely for you here on Secure Your Benefits. Now, let's talk strategy. If you're still working and haven't retired yet, there are a few things you can do. First, try to get at least 30 years of substantial earnings in Social Security covered employment. That could wipe out the WEP reduction entirely. If that's not possible, even reaching 21 to 29 years will at least reduce the impact. Second, understand how your pension is structured. If it's from a job where you didn't pay social security taxes and it's considered a defined benefit plan, it likely counts as a non-covered pension. But if it's a 401k style plan funded entirely by you with no employer match, or if you paid social security taxes, WEP might not apply. When in doubt, ask your HR department or financial advisor. If you're already retired and affected by WEP, it's unfortunately harder to change things. However, you can still take steps to ensure your benefits are calculated correctly. Mistakes happen. Social Security needs accurate information about your pension, your earnings history, and any non-covered employment. Review your statements, double-check your pension reporting, and consider contacting Social Security if something looks off. Another thing to keep in mind, WEP does not affect supplemental security income, SSI, Medicare eligibility, or benefits you might receive as a spouse or widow. That's where GPO might apply instead. It also doesn't reduce your pension, just your Social Security check. If you're confused about whether WEP applies to you, one tool you can use is the online WEP calculator on the Social Security Administration's website. You can input your pension information and earnings record to get an estimate of how much your benefit might be reduced. It's not perfect, but it gives you a ballpark figure. So what's the bottom line? The Windfall Elimination Provision is complicated, but it's not the end of the world. It's a formula that can reduce your benefits if you're getting a non-covered pension and Social Security, but there are ways to limit or avoid it depending on your situation. The most important thing is to stay informed, plan ahead, and use the tools available to you. At Secure Your Benefits, we're committed to helping you understand exactly how these rules work so you can make the best decisions for your future. Whether you're still working, planning to retire soon, or already receiving benefits, knowing how WEP works can help you avoid surprises and prepare more effectively. And remember, these rules can and do change. That's why we're always watching the latest proposals, updates, and legislation so we can bring you the facts, not fear. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any critical updates. Thanks for spending time with us today on Secure Your Benefits. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone else who might be affected by WEP. Drop your questions in the comments. We read everyone and try to answer as many as we can. And until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and take control of your retirement future.